Chapter 15, Six Swords. When he opened the file, he turned as white as a sheet, and the world began to spin around him. And Bruno stopped meeting with Carina when he heard an unfamiliar sound in the attic, and he put on his undergarments and shorts before going into the attic. Carina, Kain is unconscious. Do something, ordered Bruno. Carina, springing into action, fetched the first aid kit she had under the bed, and Kain was passed out in Bruno's arms. Kain, are you alright? Asked Carina loudly, and she took his hand to measure his pulse. And she loosened his belt and his collar, and she placed him in the recovery position before opening a little packet of smelling salts. She placed it underneath his nose, and this snapped him out of his fainting fit. Bruno carried Kain downstairs, and he gently set him down on the couch, and Kain was still holding on to the file that had triggered the fainting fit. And Carina saw the name in the file, and frowning, she took it away. Curiosity killed the cat, said Carina, holding the closed file. And you shouldn't have been rooting around mother's files, and that is a violation of a psychologist-patient relationship. Is it? Asked Bruno while he propped a pillow underneath Kain's head. Kinda. Mother's operating in a bit of a gray area, said Carina. So tell me, what did you read that got you so bent out of shape? I didn't read anything. I saw a photo of me. And that photo is just look at it, said Kain, placing his hand over his forehead. And Bruno brought a wet handkerchief and he dropped it over Kain's eyes. Carina opened the file photo before dropping it. Jesus Christ! Bruno saw a photo slipping out of the file and he picked it up before raising an eyebrow. And he looked at the photo for 2 minutes while he thought of a proper response to this revelation. And when he couldn't come up with a spoken answer, he gave Kain a comforting hug. How could my mother do that to me? Cried Kain. The photograph showed how Kain looked after his operation, and it was one of the many photos taken by the surgeon who sent it to Child Protection Service. And how had Unla acquired such a photograph? And before Carina could digest the information, her mother entered the house, and she took the file from Carina's hand before returning the photograph. Don't ever look at my patient records again, Carina, hissed Unla. Yes, Mommy, said Carina, shrinking into herself, and she added, Haven't you done enough, Carina? Barked Unla, pointing an accusing finger at her daughter. But Mom, I didn't do anything. It is just that Kain was cleaning the attic for us, and he got curious, said Carina apologetically. She quieted down when she saw that her mother wasn't believing a word that she was saying, and Carina skulked away to her bedroom to tidy up, and she tended to clean up whenever she felt nervous. And from time to time she would peep into the living room to see if Kain had finally calmed down. And the crying fit lasted for 10 minutes, and Bruno patiently continued to hug Kain all the while. And he felt that Rebecca's visit had damaged his relationship with Carina, and in order to restore her trust, he thought he needed to win points by being nice to Kain. Thank you, Bruno. I feel better now, said Kain, pushing Bruno away, and he felt ashamed of being a burden on his friends and loved ones. I am always happy to lend you a shoulder to cry on, said Bruno warmly. And everything seems all right, Carina. You can come back to the living room. Carina scurried back to the living room, and Kain sighing wearily said, I guess I'm still not strong enough to live by myself. Staying by yourself for an hour and living by yourself are two different things, said Bruno. The exercise I gave you was meant to give you a bit of a breathing room. When you're alone, there's no need to wear a mask. There isn't anyone to judge you or to demand things from you. It is only when you're alone that you can be your truest self. I don't wear a mask when I'm with you, said Kain, turning to look at Carina. That isn't true, and you know it. There are many things you never told me, things that I have been slowly finding out little by little. But it's fine, Kain, I get it, said Carina, coming over, and she took his hand before adding, I am not the easiest person to get along with. Kain smiled happily, and he was always happy whenever he had Carina's undivided attention. And close to 9, Bruno went to sleep, and Kain took it as a hint that it was time to go home. And when he arrived, he saw that his father had company, and Jack decked out the living room with candles and roses, and Kain tiptoed into his bedroom before quietly closing the door. And he took a nice relaxing shower, and he sat down on the floor to enjoy the feel of hot water falling on his hair. And at times like this, he half wished he had a bathtub. And he dried himself before crawling into the bed, and he chuckled when he heard his father busy in the other room. And he put it on headsets to drown out the noise of the squealing peacock by the name of Lysandra. It was nice that at least someone in this house was happy and in love, though at the same time he was jealous that he no longer monopolized his father's attention. Then again, he was an adult. It was about time he learned to be independent. He sat up in order to examine his sanctuary, and he found when he saw the white rose by his nightstand had withered away. He opened the nightstand to reread the friendship letter he had gotten from Male, and he fought against the temptation of calling his friend at this ungodly hour, and tonight he was going to spend it alone without inconveniencing anyone. He decided to catch up with his reading, and the last time he had read a book for fun was before his grandpa died, and he hadn't originally wanted to be a cop. He was happy working as a mechanic, and he paid the bills, and it was fun tinkering with machines. And his grandpa, on the other hand, wasn't happy with how Kain was wasting his talent. And Kain never felt he was good at anything, and he got good grades because he paid attention and did everything that his teacher said. And he jumped before getting from his shelf the only book with a bookmark. And he read the front cover, Bull Hunter. His grandpa died before he could read past chapter 2, and it was the last gift he received from his grandpa. Raphael had said that Kain reminded him of Bull Hunter. And he decided to read the book from the beginning, and after not reading the book for almost 3 years, he couldn't remember anything about the plot. And he fell asleep after reading for 2 hours, and he dreamed he was trying to move a large tree stump. And try as he might, the stump just wouldn't move, and looming over him was his grandpa. "You are such a disappointment. To think of all of the time I wasted on you," barked Raphael. "I will try harder, Grandpa. Please don't leave me," begged Kain. And once again he tried to move the large tree stump with his bare hands, and after struggling for an eternity, he turned his head to see if his grandpa was still there. Raphael was gone, and if his grandpa wasn't there anymore, Kain didn't see a reason to continue trying. And he sat on the tree stump, and it was then when he noticed a television. And he reached into his pocket, and he brought out a remote controller, and he flipped the channels until he found something he wanted to watch. He was watching a new Inuyasha episode, and this one focused more on his brother Sesshomaru, and the dream became polluted with other outside influence, and quickly everything became a pleasant, unintelligible mess. And he awoke the next morning refreshed, and the only thing he remembered of the dream was him struggling to move the tree stump. He came to the realization that after his grandpa died, he had stopped trying. Kain said to himself, "Today I am going to try hard, Grandpa, so watch over me from wherever you are." "I am not in hell, if that is what you are implying," said Raphael. Rather, it was Kain mimicking his grandpa's voice. "Lighten up, Grandpa, it was just a joke," said Kain, and he sprang from his bed with an energetic step, and he performed his morning routine. And Jack was happy to see his son looking lively for a change, and he made a bento lunches for his grandma, and his father, and he even added cute little faces on the rice bowl. Like every morning, he drove his grandma to Uncle Gen's house to spend time with Stacy and her sewing circle. With his tasks done, he went to work, and he arrived 10 minutes early to work. And he looked through his forensic sketches before listening to the interviews again, and he gave them a final polish before submitting his work to his boss. He patrolled around the neighborhood, and he even ticketed a few speeding tourists, and he drove back to the station by lunchtime. And like every workday, he had lunch with his Uncle Gen. "I see that your sketches have improved," said Gen, looking at the new wanted poster. "The more you do something, the better you get at it," said Kain, smiling warmly. "Tell me, Kain, do you like this job?" asked Gen suddenly. "I like working with you, Uncle Gen," said Kain, visibly grieved. Our little lunchtime conversation at the high point of my day. Are you firing me? I can do better. I will do better. Please don't fire me, Uncle." "Nobody's firing you, Kain. God, why do you always make everything so difficult?" barked Gen, rubbing his temple. "I ask you again, and answer me truthfully. Do you like being a cop?" "It pays the bills," said Kain, shrinking into his seat. "I get health insurance, and if I play my cards right, I can get a pension when I retire. What is not to love about being a cop?" If I were to find you a job that did all of that and more, would you do it, Kain asked Jen. I don't know, Uncle. My future is secured here, and I don't know, said Kain, resisting the idea of change. Being a cop was something he knew. It was something he had grown accustomed to. Tell me, Uncle, what brought this on, and why are you talking about hypotheticals that will never materialize? You don't know that, Kain. You shouldn't assume that your entire life is going to be an uphill battle. It is just that it is such a pity to see you wasting away in a job you don't like. You are young. You still have a chance to live the life you want to live. I am already living the life I want to live, and just because I'm not passionate about my work doesn't mean that I hate it, said Kain, visibly angry. Kain sighed wearily before saying, if you're done eating, go to the academy and show those idiots how to properly hold a gun. This was a unique request, and Kain had never been asked to teach a class, and when he drove to the Little Havana police training, he started to remember his grandpa's shooting lesson. Raphael had taught Kain how to shoot a gun when he was 9 years old, and he also learned how to fast draw, and by the time he arrived, he already had a lesson plan. And he parked his car before making his way to the reception, and after checking in, he made his way towards the shooting ring. The students did a march of salute when they became aware of Kain's presence. Attention, yelled the teacher. At ease, gentlemen, said Kain in mimicry of his grandpa Raphael. I was called here to teach you how to shoot, and I take it that all of you by now are familiar with your guns. The cadets nodded in response. Show me what you know, said Kain, gesturing to the shooting ring. The cadets shot the targets to the best of their ability, and Kain then went to his own shooting ring to do his demonstration. The cadets crowded around him to watch the masterwork. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes, said Kain as he shot the targets. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Those who got the joke chuckled or smirked. I learned how to shoot when I was 9, and I don't expect you to match my level of skill. And even if you were to practice shooting non-stop for 6 months, you won't be able to match my experience with this revolver, said Kain, patting his grandpa's revolver lovingly. Yeah, because if he learned to shoot when he was 9, he technically has more than 10 years of experience shooting with the gun, Yeah, you can't match that, So what are you going to teach my students? Asked the teacher. The fast draw. It is an important skill that makes the difference between getting shot or taking down your target, said Kain. You mean making an arrest, corrected the teacher. Same difference. You can't arrest anyone if you are dead, said Kain. I'm not here to teach you proper arrest procedure. That is your teacher's job, not mine. Alright then, let's break up into pairs and make certain that you're using blanks and not real bullets. The one who gets shot first needs to do 10 push-ups before trying again. Like the cowboys of old, the students practice a quick draw. The speed is in your wrist, not in your arm, said Kain. And if you feel your muscles tensing up, then you're not doing it right. Imagine your arms as liquid. There, like that, perfect. If speed is not found in our muscles, then why are we doing push-ups? Asked a student. The faster you tire the muscles, the quicker you will learn to remove them from the equation, said Kain, regurgitating what he had been taught as a child. A different student said, I keep getting shot and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Let me see your technique, said Kain, coming over, and the student did the fast draw, and he said, your problem is that you keep aiming for the head, and you waste extra seconds by trying to shoot the upper body. I advise that you aim a little lower, like the hand, the gut, or the hamstring. The quicker you get a bullet into your opponent, the faster you can make the arrest. The class came to an end after an hour, and a new batch of students came, and once again he regurgitated the same survivalist lesson he had been taught by his Vietnam veteran grandpa. You can't expect the enemy to play by the rules of civilized men. It is kill or be killed out there in the concrete jungle, said Kain, shooting a target. The sooner you get used to the idea that you are fighting for your survival, the quicker you are going to learn how to use a gun properly. Our badge says serve and protect, corrected a lady cop. Not shoot to kill. A man who cannot protect his own life has no business trying to protect the life of others, retorted Kain, echoing his grandpa's wisdom, and he added, smiling coolly, and those who live by the gun are destined to be killed by it. How many have you killed in the line of duty? Asked the lady cop. No one as of yet. I am a great marksman. I do not need to shoot to kill because I know where to aim to get the fool to drop his weapon, bragged Kain. How many arrests have you made? Asked the maiden. Is this an interrogation? Asked Kain. What a bother. If you're not here to learn, then stop distracting me with your questions. It wasn't an interrogation. I was just making small talk with another fellow police officer. And like you, I was sent here to share my experience with our future officers of the law. And do you mind if we have a little duel? Said the maiden, fiddling with her Glock. The students moved aside to give room for the two duelists, and Kain and his opponent stood back to back, and they walked 10 steps before turning around and shooting. The maiden shot first, but she missed the mark, while Kain shot her right in the upper joint of her index finger. Motherfucker, that hurts, but the maiden rubbing her bruised finger. It isn't wise to sacrifice accuracy for speed, said Kain, smiling thinly. And had we been using real bullets, you would have lost that lady finger. Ideally, we should only need one bullet to take down one target. And it helps to imagine that you're playing a zombie survival game where you have limited ammo. In the real world, you do not have the luxury to waste bullets. I will remember your words, Sensei, said the maiden, giving a low, mocking bow. And we should play some other time. We shall see, said Kain noncommittally. The students took note of this new life lesson, and with the zombie survival game mindset, their accuracy improved significantly. And after the fourth class, his worship came to an end. And this had been a nice change of pace, and he had been worrying over nothing. And on his way to the patrol car, he found the lady cop waiting for him. Oh, that's a good place to leave, and bye-bye, and God bless. I hope you have fun with me reading.